Hi, it's Pavel with another exercise for C#. This one is from the Reddit daily programmer exercise 131, an easy one, or from the category easy. And we are going to do a little testing, so kind of. We are going to be given an integer n on the first line of input, which will represent the following n lines of input. Alright, I have a simple sample input and output. This is the number that they're talking about. This is the number n. In this case, it's 6, which means that there will be 6 entries. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. It will simply kind of give us basically a loop boundary, so to speak. We will, in other words, it will tell us how many input strings are we to expect. Now, for each line, we will be given an integer t, and then two strings, a and b. So like this, we got an integer t and 2 strings, a and b. If the integer t is 0, then we will reverse the string a. So like here, integer is 0, we will reverse the string a, so it will read backwards R, A, and capital C. If the integer t is 1, like for example here, then we must uppercase or capitalize the entire string a. So if this is 1, the input is Batman, but we will capitalize it. All letters will be capital. At the end of either of the operations, you must test if the expected result, string B, which would be the second string we enter, and the result of the function, string A, match. In other words, over here, we entered 0, which means that we will reverse the string, we'll read it backwards, and then we will compare it to the string B. So if RAC, capital C, equals RA, capital C. So in this case, they match. Over here, when we go and we reverse it, they don't match because this string B has first and last letter capital. Over here, even if we reverse it, the first letter will be lowercase. And the same with if we enter 1, we will capitalize string A. So over here, we'll capitalize Batman and compare it to the string B, which is capitalized Batman, so they match. Over here, we will see that when we capitalize graph, it will match the capitalized graph on string B. On the other hand, if we capitalize this one, it won't match the string B. So our output description, if string A matches the string B after we execute the function, depending whether it's the capitalizing or reversing the string. If they match, we will output good test data. Otherwise, we will output mismatch bad taste data. Matching is defined as 2 strings being letter for letter equivalent case and of the same length. In other words, like I said, over here, for example, they won't match because this is a capital A at the beginning and at the end. Okay, so we will be doing some. By the way, I will post a link to the original exercise on Reddit in the description. So, okay, I guess we are ready. So first, we have few constants. We will be entering zeros or ones. So and each of them will mean something else. So I will do a constant integer. I'll call it reverse. This is when we will be reversing the string. If you press enter, if we enter 0, then we will reverse the string. If we will enter 1, then we will capitalize. Capital. I will just capitalize, will be number 1 or integer 1. Now we also have the output we can do as a constant as well. String, that's a good test, and that will equal what I want us to do. It will say good test matching good test data. Okay, so I will simply copy paste it here, and finally we have a constant for bad test, which equals mismatch bad test data, like that. Okay, finally we could use a string. We'll use a final output, which is not a string, but it's going to be a list of strings. So it's gonna be our variable final output equals new list of strings. This will basically hold either good test data or mismatch at the end, and then we will all of them one by one as they were entered, and then at the end we will simply loop through the list and output each of the entry or each of the result. Okay, so we have this. I'm thinking how to do that. Okay, let's just do, over here we can do another variable actually, which will be the number of lines, which is the first number that the user will enter, and that's how many lines we will be entering. And that's gonna be, we will simply, I won't be prompting anything. This is really this is really just for us. Basically, when the screen appears, it will wait for the input right away. And it's gonna be console.readLine. So this is our input for the number of lines. This is the integer n. This is the 6, letter number 6 over here. Okay, so now we can do the loop for and we will loop number of lines. All right, and there. So what are we going to do? Well, we could cram it all together, but I'm going to make another method or a function. I will simply call it static void process input. So and here I will be processing the input that the user enters here. So let me think. So what we can do, I will declare another variable called input, lowercase. This will be the string that holds our input. So over here we enter the number of lines, how many inputs there will be. So over here, when I go to the loop, each time with each iteration, our input will equal the console.readLine. And now we can pass that to our process input. So we will pass the whole line, the whole string. So we will accept the argument, and now we can work with that. So if we can now do see if it's the input, if the first number entered, if the first number of the string, is 0 or 1. So we know what to do with that string. So if we'll have to convert to integer 32. So if our input when split at a space, and this is the first element, so it's element 0, that's the first element of the string in the line. So when we look at the string, when split by the space, we would get one element 0, second one would be char, and then third one would be RAC. So the element 0 is, well, it's not just the number 0. We could, let's try it over here just so it's clear. We get element 0, element 1, and element 2, and they all are considered string because they are input as string. But the first element is we need to capture as an integer because it will tell us whether we need to uppercase the string or whether we need to reverse the string. That's why we have the convert to integer. So if the first number is 0, so if that all equals to 0, which is our constant reverse, so if it, in other words, if we are reversing it, then we can split the first part. This is the splitting the first part to get the instructions, which is the 0 or 1. That's what this line of code does. So if this is a 0, then I'm going to create a character array A. I'm going to create two of them actually, but one will hold string A and one will be the string B. And I'm doing them as a character because they're easy to compare. Character arrays are easier to compare, I think. So that equals again our input dot split, again by space, but this time we are capturing the element 1, which is our string A, and we have to, of course, explicitly convert it to a character array. Okay, so if why isn't this reverse? Reverse does not exist. Oh, that's because I don't have access to these. So I can put them as a class level variables like that. Yeah, because when these variables were within the main function, I did not have access to it. All right, so if we are reversing the string, I'm creating a character array of strings of A, which would be the first one. And now I can compare it to the, now I create the character string of B. Or actually what I can do, since we are reversing, 0 is reversing, I can reverse this array now by using the character array A dot reverse, and we are reversing the character array A. And so now our character array A is already reversed. I get some error here. Cannot be accessed, and that's because I didn't mean to character array. I simply meant to array and a method of reverse, and we reverse in the character array A. So over here we captured the string, as is, and over here we reverse it. Now we can compare it to the character array B, because remember we are reversing. So now we have RA capital C, and this one is RA capital C. So in order for us to do that, I will create a character array B, which will simply hold the rest of the string. So it's gonna be again split by space, and this will be the element, the last element, element 2, to character array, like that. And now we can compare them. So if character array A, and the method for that is sequence equal character array B. In other words, if the sequence of characters is exactly the same, we didn't change anything to upper or lower cases. This is simply the sequence of each characters. But if they are the same, then we know that they are the same. So we will add to our final output, to the string, to the list of final output, and I don't have access to it again. I'll do this one as a class level variable as well, but I have to do list string. I have to declare it the right way without the keyword var. So our final, now I can do the final, I still don't have access to it. Oh, that's because these are all static methods. So now it will access it. Final output dot add, we simply add, and we will add, since they match, we will add the string good test to it. Else, if they don't match, we will add the final output bad test over there. Alright, so this is this part of the code simply compares the strings, reverses the string, compares the strings A and B, and then we will store the good string or bad string, or good data or bad data string in our list. Okay, now, so this is when we are reversing the string. Now if we pressed 1, then we are doing the capitalizing. So else, I'll assume it's only 1 and 0, so this is capitalize string A. Alright, so now we have another comparison. If conditional statement, if input.split, and since it's by spaces and we are comparing 1, we are doing it, making it uppercase. We are changing it to uppercase right here. So if we change it to uppercase and it equals to the input.split by space the element 2, this is the string B, then we can add our final output again as a match, good test. Otherwise, it's a bad test. Bad test. Alright. So I put it all in one line. If we split it by space and the string A, which is the element 1, change to uppercase equals to the string split by space the element 2, which is string B, we don't change anything on string B, we simply change string A to uppercase and compare it to string B. If If they match, if they're equal, then we have a good test. Otherwise, we have a bad test. Okay, so that's about all really. So I can come over here now. After the loop, I'm going to output all the values from the list now. So for each in our final output list, we will do console dot write line, whatever is being there at the moment in that iteration, and I will do console dot read line just to pause the screen, and I need a semicolon there. Alright, so over here we loop as many times as the user wants us to, which we capture the input in number of lines. With each iteration we call the process input method or function with the input in it. So we store the input based on our conditional statements. It's gonna be either good test data or mismatch bad test data. And yeah, so let's run that. Let's see what we get. Okay, so here I will enter 6, and you know what? I will go over here and see if our data match. So first I enter 6, so it's gonna be 0 car, like that. Press enter. I will do 0 alpha IPLA, 0 Gus noise UCSI capital D, 1 Batman and Batman, and 1 graph and graph, and 1 and 1. And when we run it, we get let me see what the output is over here. We get a good test data, mismatch, bad test data, mismatch, good test data, and mismatch. So it seems to be working fine. Okay, so this is my solution. I'm going to do a little. I'm going to change it slightly now. It's already working, but I'm going to do it a little differently. I'm going to return a string from this. So I will move back my list. Let me see. I want to return a string. So over here it will simply return good test or return bad test, and over here the same, it will return good test and what did I do? I deleted too much, so it will return good test. Like I said, this is really not necessary, but I think it's a little refactoring, I guess. Return bad test. So now instead of processing the list directly in this function, I will simply return the string. So over here, I will copy this list, and I will declare it within the main. I'll simply declare it as a variable. It doesn't have to be static anymore. And over here is where I will be adding it to the the result or whatever is returned from the function. So our final output dot add, and we will add whatever is returned from the function. Yeah, I think that looks better. So again, let me quickly run it just to make sure nothing else got messed up. So we can see the data. Okay, so it's going to be 6 again, 0 car ec 0 alpha 0 and finally 1 Batman and Batman and 1 graph. The last one. And we got again good test data, mismatch, mismatch, good test, mismatch. So it still works fine, except this time we are actually returning a value and we are adding that value to the list within the call with the function call. I think it's a better way to do it. Alright, so like I said, this is my solution and I hope it helped you, and see you next time. Take care.